and the member for Middlesbrough South and East Cleveland for securing this debate. There are many familiar faces here, Madam Chair, and it's no surprise as Labour members in this House have raised the issue of steel well over 220 times since last May. And the Save Our Steel campaign has been exerting real pressure for over a year now. The work of community and other unions, and most importantly the thousands of steelworkers around the country, has been remarkable. But still, when crunch time came, the Secretary of State was caught unawares in Australia, the Prime Minister in the Canary Islands. Only when it became a public relations disaster did the government start to wake up. The announcement that the government would take an equity stake and provide other forms of support was of course welcome. We know how much this must have hurt the Secretary of State, and we salute him for crossing the Rubicon and finally acknowledging that there is a role for government in the building of a well-functioning industrial base. Who knows, having had this Damascene conversion, he may even be ready to utter the words industrial strategy now. Stranger things have happened, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, this realisation, though, came too late for the people of Redcar, as the Honourable Member for Redcar so movingly described a few weeks ago. This is a betrayal for which the government shall not be forgiven, a betrayal that deserves no forgiveness. But the government now has the opportunity to ensure that they do not make the same mistake twice. So today, some simple questions. First, on energy costs. The compensation package is of course welcome, but much more can be done. At Port Talbot, large amounts of gas, particularly from the coke ovens, are recycled and used as energy. It's a form of renewable energy by definition. Why, therefore, can we not receive renewable obligation certificates for that? In addition to the plans for a new generator, Tata have submitted an investment package of £130 million, which would upgrade equipment and deliver massive energy efficiencies and cost savings. BIS, as I understand it, have carried out a technical investigation, but have yet to give the project the green light. Can the Minister explain why there has been such a delay in giving the green light? It's possible that state aids are an issue, but I've been in contact myself with Commissioner Vestager, and she, in a letter to me, quite clearly stated that she remains ready to work with the UK authorities on how best to make use of the possibilities offered by EU state aid rules to support energy-intensive industries. The offer of help is there, why don't we use it? Second, on business rates. For Port Talbot, Trostre and Llanwern, yes, this is a devolved issue, so what is needed is a cooperative approach between Westminster and Cardiff. Tata Strip, Speciality and Bar pay £28 million a year in business rates. Meanwhile, the IJmuiden plant in the Netherlands pays £2.5 million a year in business rates. How can we possibly justify UK business rates that are over 11 times those in the Netherlands? I understand the government's concerns around the precedent they fear would be set on business rates and the broader implications that would have. However, that's simply a matter of sitting down and sorting it out. The government could set a tapered ceiling, saying that the only businesses to be where plant and machinery could be exempted could be those with, for example, capital expenditure of over 30 million or those with over 3,000 employees. They could specify that only the companies fitting those criteria would be exempt. Third, on procurement. The government's trumpeted their changes to procurement guidelines, and for these changes they should be congratulated. However, as we learned on Monday with the news that the latest set of British Ajax battle tanks would be largely built in Spain with Swedish steel, these changes are utterly toothless. This news seriously questions the government's commitment not only to British steel, but to British industry more broadly. The Secretary of State has spoken of his desire to see a new industrial revolution. Well, steel is central to that. Earlier this week, Nick Riley, the former head of GM Europe, said, if we lose the steel industry in this country, there's a high risk that maybe one of the manufacturers, maybe Vauxhall, maybe Toyota, maybe Nissan, will move out of the country if they cannot source steel locally. The real risk then is that this could snowball and the majority of manufacturers could go. This is a key consumer of steel, making it clear the end of British steel will be the end of much more. And as Mr. Riley concluded, what we are then talking about is not the 30 to 40,000 jobs at risk in the steel industry, but hundreds of thousands of jobs across British industry. This could not be more urgent, Madam Chair. I implore the Minister to answer the questions as specifically as possible. I implore that the answer is not more committees and working groups and warm words with frozen actions. I implore that we actually start to see some real action on these issues of energy, on procurement, on the dumping of Chinese steel, so that we can finally give some confidence to the future of the British steel industry. Thank you.
Anna Turley.